Hello, I'm Marcella Walsh from Avixa, and now for something different. I am super excited to be able to bring you this virtual tour from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. While it's too bad we can't be there in person, you won't need comfy shoes for this pre-recorded tour led by Frank Alimo of ULNV. Frank will be walking you through their leading edge theater renovation where you'll feel like you're really there, going up close and personal behind the scenes. During the tour playback, you can communicate via chat to Frank and each other via the tab at the right of your screen. You can also submit questions in the Q&A tab to the right of your screen and upvote your favorites. But we do have limited time at the end of the tour, so we recommend you use the chat as much as possible for your questions while the tour video is being played back. Afterwards, we'll try to answer a few of your questions live with Frank. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the tour.
Hello and welcome, InfoComm 2020 Connected. My name is Frank Alimo and I am the Senior Audiovisual Systems Specialist here at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And today we're going to give you a virtual tour of our new Dolby Atmos Theater. Come on, let's go check it out. This is the Florida Dungan Humanities Building. This building houses the film department, classroom spaces, labs. This is also home to administrative offices, the provost, and the university president. This building here is where our Dolby Atmos Theater is, our 8.2 surround sound classroom, and another lecture hall that were all just renovated as part of this project. Let's go check them out now. This is our lecture classroom for this project. As you can see, it has the dock-cam, PC, Blu-ray player, aux inputs, control system, sound system, a fixed screen, whiteboard, projector, seats. As part of this project, there was paint, new ceiling, new lighting, new carpet, new furniture. We decided that this room just needed a refresh, and we focused on the other two classrooms to get a lot more bang for our buck. This is our 8.2 surround sound room that we use for, again, script readings, actual lectures, film review, basically anything that the film department needs to use, we use this room for it. So the auxiliary rack here has our wireless microphone, our Panopto capture device, our Crestron ProSize surround sound system, and our two amplifiers for all of the speakers. So in our 8.2 surround sound room, we have our left, right, center speakers here. We have two subwoofers in the corners, and then we have our left surround, our right surround, and our rear surround speakers. Projection is done by a Maxell 10,000 lumen laser projector, and we also have a Vadio RoboShot camera and RoboShot tracker for all of the lecture capture that we have that can be recorded in this room. And now that you've seen our lecture hall, and now you've seen our 8.2 surround sound room, let's go next door and check out the Atmos Theater. This is our Dolby Atmos Theater. This area here has 254 seats. This is ADA access here, and there's a few more over on that side there. I believe there's 6 in total in this space. Fixtures and furniture and features of this room were made to be very dark. They wanted a very dark feel in this room, so when the lights are out, you want it to be as dark as it possibly can be to get the best image you can off of your picture. That's why all the treatments are muted gray tones like that. This acoustic treatment that you see throughout the entire room, it's 1 inch thick of acoustic paneling, and there's 3 inches of bat insulation behind it. There's features over here on this wall. These perforated wood panels have the same 3 inch of bat insulation behind it. So there's the treatment that's on the front, whether it's the perforated wood or the acoustic paneling here. And then we have the 3 inches of bat insulation and then a foot of concrete to the room next door. These wood panelings here, they go from this wall to that wall across the ceiling, one continuous piece across. So all of the little panels that you see are all faceted together to make it look like one big rib. And there's 5 across the wall, and then there's the 2 big panels on the front wall right there. So the stage, this area here was a little bit of a contention since this was a renovation of a building made in 1972. The stage was obviously, it was too small from us adding all this. So we added out quite a bit of concrete and rounded it out here. This area here is used for script readings. They will have acting classes up here. They also have panel discussions up here. So we could stick a panel of filmmakers up here after one of their film screenings. When we did the renovation, all of this was gutted. It was down to bare concrete. Everything you see up here had to be fabricated on site. The actual wall structure that is here was put in place prior to the screen housing. Contractor had to build all this drywall out and all this steel and structure and support. Once the stage area was complete, CCS, our integrator, came in and devised the plan on how we were actually going to get this housing into place. This feature here, this is our Vadio UHD-20 tracking camera, the RoboTrack. This is for our lecture capture. As you can see, it's a pretty large room, so the tracker works great in here. There's no IR light interference. Instructor can wear the tracking lanyard and go any place in the room, and the camera will follow them for wherever they go. It's a really good feature. So what we have here is the instructor's lectern. It's a Spectrum Industries Honors lectern. It has the mobile work surface that goes up and down for ADA access. This lectern here has all of the equipment for the user that they would need. So we have a drawer for wireless microphones in here. The lanyard for recording is in here. We have a Blu-ray player, a local PC, and then our NVX that supports sending all the content from here to the back room. We also have HDMI connections for laptops right here. And we have a network jack in case somebody wants to plug their laptop in. We also have a document camera. This document camera is actually Wolf Vision's 4K doc cam. This is our first 4K doc cam on campus. The clarity is unbelievable. And when you get to see, zooming in on a dollar bill, $5 bill in this case, on a screen of this size, it's pretty impressive. And that's all the sources for our lectern. So as you can see right here on the touch panel, lectern computer, our Blu-ray player, all controls are right here so we can toggle through. And we have our laptop connection, and then we also have the Alchemy player. And the Alchemy player, this is embedded in the projector in the back room. So this has the playlist of anything that we want to add to the projector, and we can play it from here with no need to go to the back room. So if someone comes with a digital content, they could pop it into the projector, download it, get it onto that hard drive, and then we could play it right from here. These are all the microphones in the room. I'll show you all those in the back room. There's 12 microphones, so they all have independent volume control. We have our camera. This is our Panopto lecture capture, which also has a preview window right here. So we can preset the lectern view. You can see it moves in on us right there. The front of room view bounces it out to a wider image, and then they can still pan, tilt, zoom, and they can move the camera to wherever they want. The recording, this is for the actual instructor to log into their recording area. Pick mute, we have a pick mute image that mutes the image that is going to the screen. We also have a little tab right here, help tab. Help tells us what room they're in. It tells them how to start and stop all of that. It tells us where the assistance is, and the presentation buttons are all down the bottom right down here. Screen format is another tab. This allows us to change the screen's aspect ratio with the motorized masking that is built into the screen. So if I wanted to change it from the current image to 235:1, I hit 235:1. And here we are behind our screen. This is by far the most challenging part of this entire project. All of this structure here, the studs that you see, and all the way down, up the screen housing itself, all had to be built first. Then the screen had to be hoisted into place, and then the actual material got installed last. We only had about a ½ inch of tolerance on each side, top and bottom, to hoist this big monster into place. And we had to do that with the speaker structure already installed and already in place. So that was a very, very challenging part of the project, but CCS was up to the challenge and they really knocked it out of the park for us. This steel structure here, this houses all of the speakers for our mains. There's 5 speakers up there. They're 3-way cabinets. All of this structure mounts to the floor in 10 places and 3 positions back to this wall for support. And all of the speakers are strapped and strutted to the decking up there, so they're not going anywhere. So what we have here is 4 dual 18-inch cabinets that are providing the low end for this room. And we mounted these cabinets right here on the floor with a ½ inch thick of rubberized material to keep the vibration down. It's actually worked very, very well. As you can see, there is a ton of extra insulation back here as well. The whole room is insulated, but we had to really insulate this back piece here because we wanted all that sound to go forward out to the audience. The reason why these subwoofers are back this far from the screen is because when we put the plans into Dolby to have them approve the distance for the subwoofer, they told us that we needed a distance from this speaker to the first row of seats. And in order to achieve that, we had to push these all the way to the back room. As part of this Director's Choice 300, the largest one that they've ever made, there are dual masking motors. There's a set here at the bottom, there's a set on top, one on the left side, one on the right side, and that's for the aspect ratio. Like I was saying, this is the largest one that Stewart ever made in a Director's Choice 300, and we're pretty excited that it's on our campus. So what we have here is this is Stewart's variable masking controller. This controls the motors that are on the rollers for top, the bottom, the left and right. What this does, this allows us to change the aspect ratio and program it right here on the fly. So if there's any masking that the film department requires that's not already on the touch panel, we could change it right here from this keypad. So one of the cool features about this room is we have some future considerations that will allow us to mix Dolby Atmos movies live in the room. So what it is this area right here, this is what we call the sweet spot. This is the RLP, the reference listening position. All of the speakers in the room, ceiling, walls, are all trained to this point. In this area right here, about a 6-foot bubble, is the sweet spot of this room. So what's gonna happen is, in the future, our film department is gonna buy an Avid S5 Fusion Mix Console or something of that flavor and put it right here on a stand, and they'll be able to live mix a movie right from this position. All of the conduits are in place already from floor boxes here that run back to that room. So we'll build a second rack back there, and they'll have their mix position out here, and they will be able to create live in this space. So actually to have a theater like this that they can mix live in, it's pretty awesome. And now that we've seen the theater, let's go to the back of house and show you where the magic really happens. This is our Barco DP 4K 30 projector. This is a DLP cinema projector. It's the same type and model of projector you see in a regular movie theater anywhere else in the country. From what I understand, it's pretty rare to get one of these projectors on a university campus. It makes us very, very excited to have this as part of this project. This area up in here, this is where all the communication takes place, and this is where the 6 terabyte hard drive is for the Alchemy processor that's all up in here. And with the projector of this size, you can imagine simple fan is not going to cool it. So it comes with its own chiller. So all these pipes are here. It circulates coolant from the chiller up into the projector and back down, and it keeps this beast nice and cool. So as part of this install, as you can see, our windows in our projection are almost 7 foot high. The traditional stand that comes with the projector just wasn't high enough to get that to fit there. CCS Integrations, they came up and fabbed this stand up here with all this extra steel to raise the projector up even higher. The projector weighs about 400 pounds, so we had to boost this thing up in the air and get it so the image was dead straight on the screen that we had out there. So this is one of the fabrications that CCS did for us. In addition to the actual casing here, we have our microphones for the room. We're all sitting back here on the charger. We got some storage drawers here for anything we would need to store in here. It's pretty much use rack space when you get it, because as you'll see with this rack, we're completely out of rack space. This rack here, this houses everything for the entire room. This has our switchgear, our BSS processor for the microphones, 12 microphones that are right here. We have our Vadio 1-link bridge. This is for our lecture capture camera. That ties directly into our Panopto Seneca device that records all of our content. We have our Crestron NVX that is here, that takes all the information from our lectern, sending our sources back to this room. And then it also allows us to hit the switch to get out to the other rooms that are in this building that we would want to share content with in the future. We also have our Dolby Atmos Cinema processor. This is the CP850. This is the beast that handles all of the audio processing for the room. Without this, we could not have a Dolby Atmos room. And then we have a stack of our Crown amplifiers. There's 28,000 watts of power here, and this is to power all of the 41 speakers for program and the 6 speakers for speech in the actual Atmos room. On behalf of everyone here at UNLV and for InfoComm, I want to thank you for attending this virtual tour. Obviously, we would love to have you here on site to enjoy the room in all of its glory, but the virtual tour is the best we can do. Please stick around for any questions you might have.
That concludes the tour. Unfortunately, we only have time for a few questions. Frank, let me pull up one here. Time frame, design to completion of theater.
So the time frame, oddly enough, it took a long time. I'm going to say it was a few years because the project started and stopped so many times. But in this latest iteration of it, it was about 6 months from when we actually um, started our programming, got to our design, did 3 months of construction, and then completion. I have a lot of those notes in the handouts. So if anyone is interested in some more particulars, there might be some info down in the handouts.
And I will let everyone know that the handouts are available. If you go below your streaming window, there's links on the left-hand side. It looks like we're going to have more time for questions. Oh, awesome. Here's another one, Frank. With the lecture capture systems, will you be doing live streaming as well?
Currently, no. Right now, we record to our Panopto server, and that's where we record. There hasn't been a decision made about live streaming. However, what the goal is for in that space is to stream from the other offices within the building where they have other film areas and editing. They may film or stream from room to room. It's going to be the next phase down the road if post C19, if we have funding. Those are some things that we're looking at doing, but it's more going to be streaming within each space within the building than it is out to the real world.
Awesome. So the next question was, is Hollywood jealous about your theater?
Believe it or not, we actually have a few instructors that are movie stars, and they've seen the room and they have complimented it and said it is better than some of the screening rooms they do go to in Hollywood. But we've had some great folks work on this project, and yeah, we're really proud of it.
Another question was, what is your annual AV budget, if you permitted to give that out?
To be honest, I do not have an annual operating budget for our general purpose classrooms. It's basically projects are funded per department or per university. So in this instance, this was approached by our film department to go to the powers that be and say we need to move forward with our program and we need some money to do these types of upgrades. And so the department petitions the school, and the school goes and finds the money, whether or not they find it feasible to do. This project, I can tell you, from an AV standpoint, it was around 560,000 in for all three rooms, and the entire project with changing the HVAC and abatement and all that, we were upwards of 2.5, close to 3 million.
Wow. Next question is, do you work with multiple vendors or do you have a primary AV integrator?
We work with a primary, I would say we have a preferred vendor on not on campus, that does the majority of our work on campus. But for large bids and projects like this, we do bid out projects. If it's a state funded project, we will bid it out through the state system like anyone else. We do have preferred vendor on campus that we use that has bid through other consortium projects. So yes, we have the ability to use other vendors or a preferred vendor.
Our next question is, are these classrooms designed for distance learning?
That's kind of a loaded question because what is distance learning these days? So I'm going to say no, they're not. They were designed with the intent of using them for film and film purposes with script readings and actors and such on site. you really can't do that sort of thing when it comes to distance learning. So these are more of, we call class lab spaces,
Hmm.
because you need to be in the room to experience it and what it's worth.
And it's a fabulous space. Another question is, what lecture capture appliance are you using in these spaces? Is it exclusively Panopto, and do you have a central control room for all the spaces?
Yes, it is. We are a Panopto house for our boxes. We use the Seneca box for that, and we don't have a central control room. What we have is a central control administrator. His name is Andy Bortz. You've probably seen him with some of the InfoComm stuff going on. He is our administrator, and he is able to manage it and make sure everything goes to where it's supposed to be recorded and where it gets pulled down from later for viewing.
The next question is, are these systems programming using AV framework, similar look?
Uh, we call it UNLV framework. Um, we've been doing what that manufacturer has been doing with their framework. We've been doing it about as long, maybe a little longer. Our programmer is very proud of his, and we are too, of his program. That program was basically our standard program we have in our classrooms, just on steroids. So we have one program for all of our rooms, but the flavor of the program changes. Things get added or deleted, but the fit and feel is still the same program. So when it comes to that particular one, our main programmer for our classrooms, he was not on site. He was actually out having a baby when this was being finished. And our integrator was able to take his standard program, make a couple changes, and pop it on there, and that's the program for that theater that you see there. It's not much different than many of our other classrooms.
How are you controlling brightness of the projector during class versus playing DCPs?
That's a that's an interesting one. Right now we are it is on. We are not limiting the brightness per source. We are limiting the brightness in the program. Basically, when we turn it on, we don't run it at 100%. I believe that is running at like 60% brightness, I believe is the number where we're at. But yeah, we do not control it, the brightness per source. It's something we are thinking about. It's going to give us a little bit more life with the projector, but we haven't gotten down that road yet. Once the rooms came online, COVID happened. So we really only used the rooms for about 8 weeks of somewhat intense use before we had to pull the plug on classes. So we'll dive back in
Fortunately.
and we'll look at more of the lighting issues with the projector.
And that kind of led me to another question, which is, when do you see and how do you see students coming back on campus?
Yeah, I don't have a crystal ball for that. That's up to our administration, how they're going to be coming back. Right now, we know they're going to be coming back. We have a summer session in July starting, and then we have our fall. We know they'll be coming back in a percentage, say 40% on campus, 60% online. Sometimes there'll be classes they'll be coming to campus once a week instead of 3 days a week. Outside of that, I can't really explain what's going to happen until it happens.
Right.
I think in 6 months we're all going to have a different opinion on when classes come back. I think things are going to happen and things are going to change as this uh, quarantine unfolds.
What one aspect of the renovation do you feel will be most impactful?
Ooh, I'd say it's probably the sound, the actual sound of that room. Um, there's something to be in a room that has Atmos. You can go to a movie theater and you can see a screen and you got your images and the brightness and clarity and all that. But there's something to be said in a room that you have speakers above your head. Sound
Hmm.
going around the room is one thing, but sound when it comes across the top of your head really lets you feel what's going on on that picture.
Cool. Are there plans to expand this auditorium design to other parts of the campus? For example, the student union, the new engineering building?
Are there plans? If I have something to say about it, yes, there would be. I would love to do another room like this. I kept saying that this will be the last room I do like this because I pulled all my hair out doing it. But looking back at it, now I have the pitfalls that we experienced in the short time frame of what we can do moving forward. Um, I don't know if the student union would do a room like this. I would hope they get some money and turn their theater into something like this, but that's not my call. Basically, I wait for a knock on the door and I design what they ask me to.
Did you use an AV design consultant? And what about an architect?
Marcella, am I allowed to drop names?
Sure.
Yes. So yes, our consultant was Coherent Designs, based here in Vegas. They've done quite a few projects with us. Essentially, it's I meet with them and we sit down and we work as a team, and we say this is the what our intention is. This is what we want to do, and they come back with me and say, okay, we need to contact Dolby. We need to find out which materials can and can't use in a Dolby theater. So a lot of work on Coherent's part. They do the line drawings. They produce everything ready for the site plans with the architect and all of that stuff. So yes, on this project, we did use Coherent Designs.
What were the reasons for choosing the Alchemy video player? Did you have any others that you were considering?
The Alchemy player is built into the Barco projector. So that's one of the reasons why the reason why we wanted to use it. So it was easier to have a unit that's built into the player instead of having a third-party product sitting in the rack.
Does the room require hosting, or is it self-service for the experienced professor?
Yes. It is basically the instructors that use the room were all trained either by one of our staff or by one of the admins, that teaching assistants that they have in the film department. Occasionally they will get a visiting professor that comes in, but they don't just open the door and let them go in. They take them in, they give them training. If they're not available, they'll call us. One of our crew will go down and we'll train them. We don't want anyone going in there and just hitting buttons.
Right.
Everyone needs access card to get into the space. So no, people just can't walk into the room and use it. They have to have permissions.
How often does your team evaluate new technologies, and what latest technology are you investigating?
Every day. We pride ourselves on experience based on training. So all of our staff members here, we all have a CTS. I have a CTSI. We're constantly going to trainings. We're constantly watching webinars. We're constantly talking to other schools on what they're doing. If you don't do that, you get left behind, and then it's harder to play catch up. So we try to stay on the forefront of just about everything we possibly can. Right now, the biggest thing we're doing is we're trying to get ready for the COVID return, and what we are actually going to have the need for in our classrooms based on what the students need and what the instructors need. We can look at all the technology we want until they come back to us and say we need this sort of technology in the classroom. Then we could start developing our standards moving forward. So right now, I would say it's anything that's web-based, web conference-based, lecture capture-based. All those we already have, but how we can implement them into the classrooms better, I think those are the products that we'll be looking at.
What was involved with Dolby Atmos installation and certification?
It was quite intense. So basically, when we got with Coherent, Coherent has to submit our architectural drawings as well as the audiovisual design to Dolby, and then Dolby takes that and they basically redline it and check, say you can and can't use this, and this needs to move over here and this needs to move over here. Every speaker in the room is positioned on the drawings to a degree. So there was a compass and a number that pointed everything to that listening position in the center of the room that I was talking about. So everything had a point to that. And then once everything was approved, installed, then Moving Image Technologies was the company that came and installed the projector. They're also the ones that tested and certified the rooms, sent off the results to Dolby, and Dolby came back with the pass or fail, and we got it. So it was quite a stressful process because our film department wanted to say that we have a Dolby certified theater on campus, and there's not a lot of universities that can say that. If we did all of that and would have failed and not gotten our certification, it would have been for naught. So we were so happy that we got it.
Well, Frank, thank you so much for your time. I'm glad we got extended to be able to answer a lot of the questions that got sent in. This concludes our tour. Please complete your session evaluation, which can be found below the streaming window on the left-hand side of the page. And below that, you'll see the links to the resources that Frank's provided. Please also visit the exhibitor showcases, virtual booths, and use the exhibitor scheduler feature to schedule one-on-one virtual meetings this afternoon as InfoComm comes to a close. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you've enjoyed the show.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Frank.